I want to mention that this was designed by Wilhelm Reich in 1940, so 20th century. It's a brilliant map, and as every map, it gives us guidance. I don't want you to be really like anal about it, that this is like written in the stone. Those body types overlaps, those body types also, on the top of the body types there's personality, structures, and so it's not always so black and white, but it's a great map that gives us certain understanding of ourselves and other people. So I don't want you to look into it as a way of just as a way of understanding what are in the shadow and how we can transform the shadow into the light. Because each of these body types has amazing gifts, and there is, in this training, we are not focusing so much on the gifts. I will remind some gifts, but mostly because it's trauma training, we'll go into some developmental trauma and issues that might come from the first early 8 years of life. That's when we create these structures. So please be reminded that there's no right or wrong, none of these types is better or worse than the other. When you listen to it, and we will discuss also, some part of it may be very triggering for you because you can recognize this in yourself, and when we recognize this wounded part in ourselves, the parts that we try to push away, it's usually painful to look into. So when that happens, just be kind with yourself, be loving to yourself, that this is not something that we are criticizing or judging, but we want to have better understanding why we are feeling certain way, why we're responding to others certain way, because those structures create specific physicality for us, specific emotional pattern, psychological pattern, and it's very scientific. It's kind of, if you go really deep into it, it's mind-blowing that one event in life at a certain age can create our body shape, can create our emotional pattern, our psychological pattern. So it's pretty outstanding that we can understand that. Other thing that is very useful when we start working with people, that no matter where you are in the world, no matter the race, sex, gender, everybody fits into these 5 archetypes, no matter where you are in the world. So it gives you certain understanding of working with people. Then you don't need to kind of understand, whatever trillions people live in this planet, but in a way, you can kind of operate with these 5 archetypes. So it's a very useful map, and I find it very helpful for me in relationships, but also in my work and working with people from that space, like how I can help others to understand them better. So 5 structures, and I'm sorry for the names, there are also positive names, I don't remember them right now. There's a book of, what is the book?
Stephen Kessler.
Stephen Kessler. If you want to study body types for more kind of, how do I say, kind of positive side, for the gift side, study Stephen Kessler. And I haven't read this book, but I heard from Daniel and Kavisha that it's a great book on that. So sorry for the names that were created in beginning of 20th century, and we use them as it is. The first one is called schizoid. It's the developmental child trauma of the birth, but also conception, from conception into the birth, first days when we come into this world. So the healing aspect is here. I have the healing mantra for this particular one is, I have a right to exist, because they'll be wounding about disembodiment, wounding about, feeling a lot of pain by coming into this world. So that pain created disassociation from the physical body. this is matter. So with this structure we might feel like I don't have a right to exist. Yeah, so the mantra is I have a right to exist. Then we have oral type, which is developmental trauma from the early birth time to 12 months, maybe 15 months, the feeding time, when the child didn't receive enough nourishment, nutrients for some reason was not fed in the way that was required by the child. Then it can create a split, the oral, we call it oral split, so there was not enough nourishment. So this particular structure might be around lack of nourishment, and the mantra is I have a right to have a need, because with this particular structure the theme will be fear, the emotion that will be surfacing will be fear, and difficulty to ask for what are their needs, because if they didn't receive what they needed to, then there's a belief that if the close caregivers didn't give me what I needed, then I don't have a right to ask for anything, because I will not get it anyway. So we work here with asking for needs, recognizing what's already there, so kind of looking into it like the glass is half full, rather than I'm never gonna get love, I'm never gonna get it. And there's a sense of emptiness, fragmentation in the body. It's like it's never enough, it's always never enough. I have a right to need for my needs and express my needs. And then the third one is psychopathic structure, comes later from 1.5 to maybe 3.5 years old, where the child, usually parent of the opposite sex is bonding with child conditionally to manipulate the child or control the child to get some benefits out of child. They're using child for their benefits. So maybe very common scenario is the mother bond with the son to manipulate against the father. There is conflict in the family, so they're using the child to bond against the father. And the child doesn't know in the beginning, but that's a manipulation, and then the child learns, okay, the way to get love is to be in control. So the healing mantra for psychopathic body type is I have a right to trust. There's a big issue about trust, about surrendering, because that only about control with the closest parent and not getting genuine love by getting love for being nice or fulfilling their needs. Teaches that type that being in control is where you get love. And then the masochistic type comes from 3.5 to about 5, when the parent is controlling all their child behaviors. Child at this time goes into expressing their personality, their identity. They say no, they want to kind of set up their boundaries. And when that is crushed, the child constantly crushed on and on and on. Child give up their willpower, they give up their boundaries, they get confused what are the boundaries, and they have a very hard time to set those boundaries. The healing mantra is I have a right for autonomy. This type feels a lot, but they have very difficult time to express their feelings, especially anger, rage. Their body is a little bit like swollen, compressed, shortened. And very important for this type will be going into the session, expressing anger, expressing rage in a playful way. Because if you come with orders to these types, they shut down, because that's what happens in the childhood. You need to come with the playfulness, with lightness, That's where they open up. That's where they can trust. If you can doing military orders, very hard to reach. And the last one, rigid type, 4.5 to 6, 7 years, 8 years old, child start developing their sensuality, sexuality, start playing with their genitals, they start discovering their body, and what happens at this stage, that for child, this is energy, this is body, this is just creation of God. Child don't recognize this is wrong or bad, but at this point, what might happen that the parent of the opposite sex often might be very uncomfortable when the child brings this energy to the parent, to the adulthood, to environment. They want to play with it, and they cut it off. Don't play with yourself, cover yourself, in a way, or they withdraw their presence, they withdraw their love for the child when it comes to this energy. So the child subconsciously make a decision, my sexuality and love is separated and it's cut in the waist. Yeah, and the armor, the protection is about it's not okay to feel, and there is difficulty to feel. So they create this armor around the body, very proportionate, athletic, muscular body, because it happens in the last in development. So the body was able to develop in kind of the most harmonious form. This sense of armoring around the outer layers is kind of like a shield to create for feelings to bounce off. And here the mantra is I have a right for my sexuality, and the thing would be how to merge sex and love, because it's separated. It's very hard for this type to create fulfilled sexual and loving relationship. Very often it's either this or that, because there's a little bit of confusion. How do I express my sex in my heart? So how can I merge these two centers? So this is like a general thing that is there in your manual. You have pictures also for every type, but so give you more understanding. Like in schizoid, you can see they borrow like a tall body, longer joints. There is sense of like thick bones, more skinnier, like kind of underdeveloped in some ways. Yeah. Super great artists, super great creative artists, painters, poets, super great musicians. Like if you look into some artwork and you look like who is behind it, very often it's schizoid poets, because they are disembodied from physicality, but they have access to the higher state of consciousness. They connect with angels, with other realms, and they can channel. They're very good with channeling art, because they have access to these higher realms. Then with oral split MIDI structure, you can see it's a little bit like collapsed. Very often you can see in this type collapsed shoulders, collapsed sternum closed, the heart protected. It's kind of like the energy is, it's like they collapse. Very little energy, life force. They very often disassociate in the session. You start breathing and they go into sleep. The eyes are not present. If you look in their eyes, they're a little bit withdrawn. They're a little bit away. And then psychopathic structure is more energy, it's more puffed up, it's more upper body is overcharged, smaller hips, undercharged hips, pelvis, thinner legs. A kind of perfect example would be American footballers, and they even use this extra padding on the shoulders, so it's huge shoulders, upper body, and then skinny. So small pelvis and tiny legs, undercharged legs. So the energy is in control, energy is more into the head, into the face, a lot of cognitive understanding, a lot of energy in the head, in the chest. Stuck on inhalation, very hard to exhale. Like in oral, it's opposite. They have a very hard time to inhale because it's about life force. So there's something about undernourishment, so hard to take inhale, but easy to exhale, like let go and stay, let go, like kind of in that collapse posture. And then masochist, it's kind of compressed, short neck, a little bit bigger, kind of like balloonish, like the whole emotion stuck in and they keep growing in the body because there's no discharge, it's like everything is kept in. The anger, the rage is all boiling inside, doesn't really come out. And then with the rigid you have this perfect form, really harmonized, really like muscular, like athletic looking. Usually most of the athletes would have that form. They a lot of energy, great endurance, keep on going, infinite energy, great in big corporations, CEOs. They're adventurous, they love adventures. They are the ones that climbs Mount Everest and this kind of stuff. They take on like this big task in life because they can do it, they have energy for it. They won't collapse in the middle of hike. They find a way to reach the top.